For 10 years, Nnamdi Kanu was extradited from Kenya, and 10 years later, judgment was finally passed. A full decade of silence, rising tension, street protests, sit-at-home orders, endless court battles, and deep political games, all building toward one explosive moment: the life sentence. Welcome to Blackish Gold Originals. Today, we will explain what Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence really means for Nigeria as a country and the southeastern part. Let's deep dive. Since Nnamdi Kanu was extradited from Kenya, it has been 10 long years of court appearances, political tension, and national controversy. His saga first exploded in 2015 when he was arrested at a Lagos hotel for running Radio Biafra and promoting a separatist movement. That arrest alone sparked nationwide protests, multiple bail hearings, and more than 14 court sessions in under 2 years. But the story took a darker turn in June 2021 when Kanu was captured in Kenya and brought back to Nigeria under circumstances Amnesty International and several global observers described as extraordinary rendition, a process that violates international law because it bypasses formal extradition treaties. From 2021 onward, his legal journey became one of the most complex in Nigerian history. Over 60 court appearances across the Federal High Court, Appeal Court, and Supreme Court. More than 25 adjournments, often triggered by legal delays or security concerns. Multiple federal appeals challenging charges ranging from treason to terrorism. Human rights petitions filed before the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. International pressure from the UK Parliament, the EU, and global rights organizations. Rising insecurity in the southeast, with sit-at-home orders costing the region an estimated 3 trillion naira in economic losses since 2021. For nearly a decade, the case dragged on, a mix of law, politics, and raw emotion. And then, after almost 10 turbulent years, the final judgment arrived. A life sentence. A ruling that now shapes the future of Nigeria and the entire Southeast. But why is this particular case shaking Nigeria to her root today?
This was not just another court ruling. It was the verdict on the most controversial separatist figure in modern Nigerian history. A man whose movement has shaped politics and security in the southeast for nearly a decade. The judgment carries 4 major levels of impact. A. Legal impact. By labeling him a threat to national security and an international terrorist, the court reshapes how security agencies classify IPOB. This designation allows increased surveillance, extended detentions, and broader counter-terror operations under Nigeria's 2011 Terrorism Prevention Act. B. Political impact. Southeast politicians now face a dangerous balancing act: support Kanu and risk losing federal influence, or oppose him and lose the loyalty of millions who see him as a symbol of regional justice. C. Security impact. Analysts predict a spike in operations, more checkpoints, more patrols, and intensified raids. Since 2021, military activities in the region have risen by over 35%. D. International impact. Human rights groups like Amnesty International are monitoring closely, while the UK, Kanu's country of citizenship, may face renewed diplomatic pressure. So, the real question is this: what does all of this mean for IPOB now? The Southeast has already felt the weight of this conflict for years. Billions of naira have been lost due to repeated sit-at-home orders, with hundreds of businesses shutting down and schools forced to close. Communities have been heavily militarized, youth have been radicalized or arrested, and travel routes have become unsafe for daily commuters. Now, with Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence confirmed, the region faces a new chapter of uncertainty. Analysts predict several possible developments. First, new waves of protests could erupt. Even if IPOB does not organize them directly, supporters across the globe may mobilize, keeping unrest alive. Second, more sit-at-home orders may be enforced, sometimes violently, as supporters resist the verdict. Third, increased military and police presence is likely, with security forces aiming to suppress unrest. Between 2019 and 2025, over 200 operations targeting IPOB cells were conducted in the southeast. Finally, political tension is expected to rise, especially with the 2027 elections approaching. Candidates will be forced to pick sides, and the life sentence could redefine the region's political landscape for years to come. The Southeast has already borne the brunt of this conflict for years. Since 2019, sit-at-home orders have reportedly cost the region over 3 trillion naira in lost revenue. Hundreds of small and medium businesses have been forced to shut down, schools closed, and communities heavily militarized to prevent unrest. Travel routes have become unsafe, while many youths have either been radicalized or arrested, further destabilizing the region. Now, with Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence confirmed, the Southeast faces multiple risks. New waves of protests, even without direct IPOB leadership, could mobilize supporters locally and internationally. Extended sit-at-home orders could further cripple the economy. Increased military presence will impact everyday life. Rising political tension is expected ahead of the 2027 elections. The question now is, how will these economic and social pressures shape the future of the Southeast? And can the region recover from years of disruption?
Nigeria as a whole also faces serious consequences from Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence. Reputation. If international media frames this as political suppression, Nigeria risks diplomatic pressure from the UK, EU, and human rights organizations. Previous reports show that Nigeria has faced sanctions and travel advisories when political trials drew global criticism. Security strategy. The government may feel justified to escalate counter-terrorism operations. Between 2019 and 2025, over 200 operations targeted IPOB cells, resulting in dozens of casualties on both sides. Political messaging. The ruling party can use the verdict to appear tough on national security, appealing to voters concerned about separatist threats. Ethnic tension. The case has reopened old wounds, increasing mistrust between regions. Unity becomes harder when justice is perceived as selective. So, what does this verdict really mean for Nigeria's stability and the Southeast's future?
At its core, Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence is bigger than law. It is a struggle over power, ethnic identity, national unity, justice, rights, emotion, and fear, a battle that defines the political future of the Southeast. The Southeast has long been politically and economically marginalized, which partly explains the popularity of IPOB. Since 2015, IPOB-led sit-at-home orders have reportedly cost the region over 3 trillion naira in lost revenue. Markets, schools, and transport networks have been disrupted repeatedly, with daily economic losses estimated at 20 to 30 billion naira during major sit-at-home days. Security forces have conducted over 200 operations targeting IPOB cells,
between 2019 and 2025, resulting in dozens of casualties. These operations fuel tension, fear, and resentment. Politically, Kanu's imprisonment leaves a leadership vacuum, intensifying internal divisions within IPOB and challenging local politicians to navigate an increasingly unstable environment. Whether you support him or oppose him, one fact is clear. This life sentence will shape Southeast Nigeria's political, social, and economic landscape for decades.
The story is far from over. The Southeast is entering a new chapter. Nigeria is entering a new era. And Kanu's case may become one of the defining political battles of this generation. Was this a fair verdict or a political decision wrapped in legal language? Only time will tell. This has been Blackish Gold Originals. Watch the next video on your screen to dive deeper into the hidden forces behind the Nnamdi Kanu saga.